breaking news from overnight. Victoria has reinstated a range of restrictions after a hotel quarantine worker tested positive for coronavirus. As of midnight, household gatherings have been reduced from 30 to 15. Masks are again mandatory in private and public indoor spaces. The 75% return to work cap, which was planned for Monday, has been put on hold.
Cabinet has endorsed the advice of the Chief Health Officer to reinstate the Black Rock or New Year's Eve settings. So private gatherings 15 only, masks inside, across all inside. Whether it's a private or a public gathering, masks should be worn inside. And also, I want to give notice to those employers and employees that we are pausing the scheduled shift to 75% private sector on Monday and 75% public sector on Monday as well.
And here's what we know about the case so far. A 26-year-old male from Noble Park returned that positive test. He's now in a health hotel and close contact tracing is underway. The man was working at the Grand Hyatt Hotel as part of the Australian Open quarantine program, and he's also a CFA volunteer. He returned a negative test after his last shift on the 29th of January, but then developed symptoms and tested positive on the 2nd of Feb. It's not been confirmed whether the man has any mutant strain. Premier Daniel Andrews says the situation must be taken seriously, but has urged residents not to panic.
If you have any symptoms whatsoever, the only thing for you to do first thing tomorrow morning is to go and get tested. This is one case. There's no need for people to panic. There's no need for people to be alarmed. We Victorians know what to do, and we have proven as a state very successful at managing these sorts of outbreaks, these sorts of issues.
Well, Andrea Crothers is at the Grand Hyatt for us. Andrea, good morning to you. So health authorities are scrambling.
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. And what the big thing here is not only have those restrictions been put in place, but currently the Australian Open, well, it's hanging in the balance because up to 600 players and officials, they've all been sent back into isolation whilst they wait to get that test back and return a negative result. So what it does mean is this lead-up tournaments, we're seeing those mini-camps sort of today, all of those matches, they've been cancelled. It did leave some people in the lurch. We had Nick Kyrgios overnight tweeting, asking whether he was still playing. And for all those other players, we know there was so much controversy and concern regarding the quarantine to begin with, so you can only imagine what's going through the tennis world at the moment as they await news as to whether they do come back with negative results or positive results, and just how the Australian Open does play out. Now, we did have Daniel Andrews asked last night as to whether this sort of whether it was the right decision to go ahead and have the Australian Open to bring in all of these people, particularly given the concerns that this could be the UK strain. He said at this stage the decision had been made, the tournament will go ahead. But here's some of the concerns from the Chief Health Officer last night.
Look, I think the testing of this individual indicates that he probably had a high viral load. That's what the test results show. So for his very close contacts, I think there is a risk that they'll potentially become cases, but that's why we're contacting them now.
So a high viral load, the fear is that there could be more cases to come in coming days. We also know that yesterday the Chief Health Officer was tweeting about how we'd crushed or eliminated the virus for a second time here in Victoria. When asked last night, he did say he believes that we can do that again. But needless to say, this sort of debate around whether tennis should have or shouldn't have gone ahead, what continues to rage on. And the State Opposition Leader, he's got questions.
The question is, have we had our protocols up to speed in our quarantine hotels? Tonight's announcement would suggest that we haven't, that the government hasn't got it right.
Now, we've got some graphics here, some exposure sites as to where this 26-year-old Noble Park man went in the few days when he's believed to have been infectious. We've got them up on screen at the moment. One of those areas was actually a CFA function. He was a CFA volunteer. So the big message today from authorities is they want anyone who has been anywhere near any of those sites to go and get tested. The 8 major drive-through sites here in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, they're actually going to be open from 8 a.m. There is also concerns because it will get up to around 30 degrees here in Melbourne, which we haven't seen for some time. And so they're telling everyone to make sure you pack lots of water, pack a hat, and they'll try and get through everyone as quickly as possible, Pete.